An update on The Last of Us Online. We realize many of you have been anticipating news around the project that we've been calling The Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We made the incredibly difficult decision to stop development on the game. We know this news will be tough for many, especially dedicated Last of Us factions community, who have been following our multiplayer ambitions ardently. We're equally crushed at the studio. We're looking forward to putting this in your hands. We wanted to share with you some background on how we came to this decision. The multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this
game since we were working on The Last of Us Part 2, crafting an experience we felt was unique and had tremendous potential. By the way, already he's lied. So I'm going to continue on and tell you the truth because we already know the truth. He's changing history here to make it sound different.
Because yes, the great and almighty DSP understands a game in development more than the person who is in charge of making said game. And by the way, I'm just going to point this out here. Apparently, Neil Drunkmen has had next to nothing with this Last of Us multiplayer project. Behind the scenes, he's kind of like the figurehead of, the company, but he wasn't the one actually making this game. It was someone else. So already, he's going to pass the blame to Neil Drunkmen, which Neil Drunkmen had nothing to do with. This is like blaming, Ronald McDonald for what happens at your local McDonald's. Ronald McDonald isn't the one behind it. Yeah, he's a figurehead. He might be, a position in the company, but he's not the person you should be actually mad at.
By the way, this is Neil Druckmann writing this, even if you can't tell, this is Neil Druckmann, he totally wrote this post. As the multiplayer team iterated on their concept of The Last of Us Online during this time, the vision crystallized, the game was refined and satisfying, and we were enthusiastic about the direction in which we were heading. In ramping up to full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we have to put all of our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that define Naughty Dog's heritage. We are immensely proud of everyone at the studio that touched this project. The learnings and investments in technology from this game will carry into how we develop our projects and will be invaluable in the direction that we are headed as a studio. We have more than one ambitious brand new single-player game that we're working on here at Naughty Dog, and we cannot wait to share more about what comes next when we're ready. Until then, we're incredibly thankful for our community and your support throughout the years. Okay.
So again, he didn't sign it, but you can 100% tell just from the mannerisms and the way it's written. Neil Druckmann wrote that. If you don't know, Neil Druckmann is the head of Naughty Dog right now. Okay? Bullshit. That entire story is bullshit. The facts don't align with what he says in his post. Allow me to remind you of the facts of what this is. So The Last of Us Online actually is called The Last of Us Factions. This was supposed to be the multiplayer mode included as part of the purchase price of The Last of Us 2. But did you forget about that? You probably did, because Naughty Dog has changed the narrative of this game so many times over the years to make you forget so they don't look bad. All right?
Tell you is that this game is big.
Okay.
It's as big as any of our single-player games that we've done, and in some ways bigger. It's got a story. The way we're telling that story is very unique to this game. It's got a brand new cast of characters. It takes place at another place, another part of the United States.
It's like a city might be somewhat familiar to some people.
I'm sure our fans have already figured it out. And it's really cool. And it's being headed by Vinith Agarwal, Anthony Newman, and Joe Padnatti, all veterans of Uncharted and Last of Us. And you're going to see a lot more of this game come next year.
Next year. So we wait till next year to hear more about that
year.
one. Okay. Well, very exciting that this has evolved. And I mean, that concept art looks incredible. I can't wait to see Naughty Dog's storytelling fused with multiplayer live game.
It's something special. We can't wait to show it either.
Yeah, no. No.
When The Last of Us 1 released, it was arguably the best narrative-based experience on the PlayStation 3, plus it had an online mode. The online mode was incredibly unique. It was purely stealth-based. Never before had you really played an online third-person game with action, but it was stealth. Sneak up from behind your opponents, take them out with takedowns or shoot them from the side. Have one person distract them while the other person sneaks around and gets them. It was a really fun game, and it was so unique. People were calling for more, but they never gave it. They never made any more of that. It was just essentially what came with the first game is what you got. But when they were making The Last of Us 2, they promised that they were going to have another online mode. It was going to be called Last of Us Factions, and it was going to be included as part of the price tag of the game. This was 100% all documented. It's all over the internet. All the news stories covered it. This is what Naughty Dog was saying the game was going to be. You're going to get your single-player campaign, just like Last of Us 1, and then you're going to get your multiplayer. It's all part of the same retail package, okay?
But let's be honest here for a second. Just straight up, like I've said before, do you really think The Last of Us is known for its multiplayer? I don't think a lot of people really play the multiplayer as much as people think they did. Now, here's what I understand the timeline as. Originally, there was going to be a multiplayer mode attached to The Last of Us Part 2, just like how there was a multiplayer mode attached to Uncharted 4, and I think Lost Legacy had its own multiplayer mode as well. But then what happened is, Lost Legacy actually was DLC you would just get if you were just signed in and like, oh, you had the game blah, 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 blah. Just try to clarify some facts here. So what then happened is Part 2's multiplayer mode got delayed out of the release of The Last of Us Part 2 story. So then what happened is after that, it became its own separate entity. It became its own separate project, the multiplayer mode, to the point it was being known in the community as The Last of Us Factions Part 2, or Last of Us Online, because it technically never had an official name. The most closest we got to official was Last of Us Online game. That's literally it. So, alright, DSP is kind of remembering things in the opposite order. He thinks like this thing actually was, the best way for me to put this is that he thinks what we were going to get in after 2020 was still going to be what we were originally going to get in 2019. And that was a, pretty hastily put together multiplayer mode. But instead, it became way more ambitious than that. And that's basically what it sounds like happened, is it got too ambitious. And the studio said, hey, we're not really known for our multiplayer stuff. And that, to be fair, they're really not known for their multiplayer stuff.
All of a sudden, okay, only a few months before the scheduled release of The Last of Us 2, Naughty Dog, Neil Druckmann, came out and said, so we have an update for everyone, okay? We want to let you know that Last of Us 2's narrative mode, the one that you really care about, is about ready to go. We're very excited. We love this game. We're proud of it. We want to put it out. But the online just isn't ready yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to ask for your buy-in that hopefully you will buy this game and still play it with the promise that in the future, we're going to provide you for free a downloadable update of The Last of Us Factions.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
I feel like I'm stuck in a time loop here, because I keep repeating the same thing. After 2020, the Last of Us multiplayer project became its own separate entity. You did not have to buy The Last of Us Part 2 from the sales of it to get this freaking multiplayer game. In fact, it sounds like, from what I could find, it looks like it was going to be a free-to-play game. So, yet again, Phil, do you not grasp the concept that you didn't have to buy Part 2 to get this mode, or this online game? After 2020, this thing became its own separate entity. We are now in 2023, 3 years later. From all we know is it was a free-to-play multiplayer project that originally started off as a multiplayer mode for Part 2, but they got more ambitious and they wanted to do more of it, and it got canceled basically because they don't feel like they could actually keep it going as a live service game.
So you're going to get the multiplayer later. Buy the full game now for full retail price, and we promise you that somewhere down the line you will get the multiplayer, okay? Again, this was a 100% promise. It's in writing, it's all over the internet, you can find it from years ago, but it's funny, no one talks about it as if it never happened. Like everyone forgot, we all had our mind wiped, but Men in Black came and flashed us, and we suddenly forgot that this was all promised and supposed to be included with the money we paid for The Last of Us 2.
Because the entire time I was playing Last of Us 2, all right, I didn't really like the story. I liked the gameplay elements. I liked the graphics. I hated the story. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, well, even if I don't like the end of this, at least the multiplayer's coming, right? And I loved the multiplayer of The Last of Us 1. So The Last of Us 2 comes out, and what happens? The entire game blows up on the internet. Drama about, oh, it's too progressive. It's got leftist overtones. Neil Druckmann's trying to push his agendas down everyone's throat. On the flip side of that, Neil Druckmann turns it into a pro-progressive campaign. A buy of The Last of Us 2 is a strike against these bigoted haters, these prejudiced people on the internet. Every person who hates this game is a bigot and a prejudiced asshole. So buy the game for the cause of good.
Did Neil Druckmann really say that stuff, though? I wasn't really paying attention to Twitter at the time because, I was trying to avoid spoilers. Played the game for myself, made my own judgments. And, yeah, the game's not really that... Okay, let's put it simple. The game's progressive, but not in, the most in-your-face kind of way. I think the most they get kind of in-your-face about is Ellie and Dina's relationship, which I'm perfectly okay with because I couldn't care to I'm not saying I don't care about their relationship. I'm saying I just don't care the fact they're gay. At the end of the day, if you're attracted to a woman, cool. and you're a woman, cool. If you're attracted to a man and you're a man, cool. Guess what? At the end of the day, it's not the gender you should be attracted to, it's the person. It isn't like, you're attracted to every dude or every girl. You're attracted to certain people that just you kind of resonate with. So I don't get where this progressive, argument comes from, because personally, I grew up with, fairly easy values to understand. Hey, judge the person for the person, not their gender. Don't judge the person for their don't judge the person for what their father did or their mother did. Judge them on their merits. So, and I got no problem with gay people. I got no problem with trans people. I got no problem with gender fluid people or any of that. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're all still struggling no matter what. At most, you make the struggle a little easier by having a little bit extra cash. That's the best I could put it at my values. Like, being human. That's the best way for me to put it, is being human. Judge me for who I am, not for the things around me.
He literally said that. He even said that here, vote for The Last of Us 2 at the Game Awards, because a vote for the game is a vote against the haters. Then he had to remove all the social media posts about it because he looked like an asshole. But he'd already said it. Okay? So basically, all this stuff goes on, and what ends up happening is, the game sells like crazy, and it becomes Game of the Year because the journalists love progressive themes in video games. So the game gets Game of the Year despite the fact the story's actually fucking horribly written and atrociously executed. It's one of the most convoluted, poorly paced, poorly timed stories I've ever seen in my life. Starting in the middle, going back, going forward, going back. It's confusing as fuck. The game sucks. Story-wise. Gameplay-wise, graphics-wise, I loved it. Story elements were absolutely atrociously horrible. The whole game is like torture porn. Okay? It's trash. It's trash for fucking weak-minded people who think that kind of drivel is good. Oh, so it has violence and serious tones. It must be a great game. It's not. At least in my opinion. You can disagree. A lot of people do disagree with me. My opinion, it's one of the worst stories ever written. Okay?
I don't care!
So the game comes out all this controversy, all this shit. Okay? All of a sudden, you hear an announcement the next year. So what happened to the multiplayer? Where's Last of Us Factions? Oh, we have an update. There's no more Last of Us Factions. The Last of Us Factions has now expanded upon our original scope and vision. We decided that now it's going to be called The Last of Us Online, and it's going to be our own game. Now listen, we know we had promised to you that you were going to get these factions for free, as part of if you bought the original Last of Us 2 game, but you have to, as a fan of ours, you have to give us the benefit of the doubt. We are doing the right thing. Rather than give you a half-finished, not really well-done multiplayer, or just a tacked-on mode, we want to make this a fully-fledged online experience. Therefore, it's going to be its own game. And we know we promised you you're going to get it for free, but now it's going to be something you have to buy. We hope that you'll believe in us. We hope that you'll come and play it later on. And of course, the more you hear about it, okay, you start hearing things such as live service, right? Incremental updates, all right? All the things people don't want. Remember when Avengers came out and crashed as a live service game?
Now, I'm going to start speeding up DSP more, because first off, like that previous little title card told you guys, I am in pure pain in this, because DSP he's recapping every little thing in like the most, obnoxious way he can. Guys, DSP is pure pain to go through. Because, first off, he's just boring. My God, I'm sitting here with a freaking bottle of water or a cup of coffee. I'm thinking, I'm going to need more. I'm going to need something more to get through this, because I feel like I'm falling asleep here. No joke, man. This shit's ridiculous. Duty, shout out to Duty Stream, Duty. But man, this is hard. This is hard to get through. This is why I definitely respect the hell out of like something like Bookkeeper, like Sunrise, and other people who do these kind of videos. Because holy fuck, is this hard to get through. Shout out to you guys. You guys deserve respect. You guys deserve an applause. You deserve a like and subscribe. God Lord.
So what ends up happening is, Drunkmen, in all his wisdom, thinks he sees dollar signs. And he's like, we can actually make The Last of Us Online a huge revenue boost for us. What we'll do is we'll have this never-ending online game, much like GTA Online, or much like all these other games that were planned to come out. And this is going to be our cash cow forever. People will keep buying microtransactions for seasonal outfits and little incremental updates and shit like that, because they're dumb, right? So we're going to get everyone with this shit, right? We're going to get them. But then what happens? As they're developing this Last of Us Online game, which, by the way, should have been free to begin with, they lied about that. Now, all the live service games are tanking, right? Games like Avengers launch and fail. Entire other games that were going to be based on live service, like Gotham Knights, have to change their formulas because they realize they're not going to sell. No one wants live service games. The live service games are now losing their player base. In fact, the only one that's really doing well is GTA Online, and arguably Fortnite, which really isn't as much of a live service as it is a viral meme for youngsters. So it's a little different, right? So basically, promise the world it'll be a free game just like the first game. It's going to be a free mode. Well, we can't get it out for launch, but we promise you it's coming out. Oh, now it's not coming out at all is what we promised. It's going to be a standalone game you have to buy with a live service thing, but trust us, we know what we're doing. If you like Last of Us 2, our rabid fan base, you're going to want Last of Us Online, right? So now here we are years later. Oh, by the way, it's canceled. Now wait a minute. I paid $60 like everybody else years ago. That $60, some of that money was supposed to go towards an online mode. And at first you told us it was coming later. Then you told us you were putting your efforts into a standalone game that was going to be amazing. So, all right, I believed you then. I believed you again. I believed you once. And like they say, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, well, shame on you. Try to fool me a third time, well, I'm not going to get fooled again.
Shocker. Naughty Dog was chasing money, just like how Sony is chasing money. Maybe it's because, and this is just a random thought here, Phil. Maybe it's because they need actual revenue instead of just bleeding costs everywhere. especially after the Insomniac leaks we found out. Oh God, we found out a lot about that shit. But yeah, that just sounds like entitlement to me. It really does. You think you're entitled to a multiplayer game just because that multiplayer game started off as a multiplayer mode for other game you bought, even though the scope of the game, it's a completely different game now, but you think you're entitled to it because you bought a previous game. I can't wrap my head around that. That's like saying, hey, game developers, guess what? I bought one of your games. You gotta give me that multiplayer game for free. I bought the last Call of Duty, so this one should be free.
And that's exactly what they're trying to pull here. Lie after lie after lie about this online mode. What happened was, they want to make their player base so gullible that they're basically like an indoctrinated group of fans who will just buy and consume no matter what it is that they put out. They'll put out a TV show of the game, you're going to buy and consume and vote. That's going to be the best game adaptation of the year. And, as long as it has these progressive themes, right? Because you feel like a positive hero when you vote for The Last of Us because it's so progressive, bro, right? Not that it's a good game or it's a good show, but it's progressive. And we should all just vote for progressive themes now in the modern era. It makes you feel good. When in reality, these politics should have nothing to fucking do with these video games at all. And this is just him imposing this bullshit onto people. And that's how he's getting by. He's getting by fooling people into feeling good about spending their money on Naughty Dog. That's called brainwashing. That's like cult-like mentality behavior.
You gotta love the irony of DSP calling someone else brainwashing, while at the same time he brainwashes his dents into spending a bunch of money on him for nothing. Seriously, think about it. I'd rather actually give Neil Druckmann money than DSP, because at least with Neil Druckmann, I know it's going to a good cause. At least I know it's actually going to go to something that actually, has substance. Not some fucking pig who sits there and goes, I need to pay my bills, guys. Okay, guys, you need to pay my bills for me, because I need bills. I live outside my means. Cat needs a new truffle. She needs a new horse mask and everything. So you guys gotta pay for that. You gotta pay for all this shit. Because I'm DSP. I have a business degree, but I ain't smart enough to figure out how to balance a checkbook. I know, I'm kind of defended being part of, the Neil Druckmann cult. Oh, hell, Neil Druckmann. But at the same time, it's I'd rather be a Neil Druckmann cult member than a DSP cult member. Guys know, this is actually a fact for you guys. There are people actually who are part of his chat who spend money on him, who get their money from Social Security. DSPs literally take his Social Security money. I don't know what to say outside Phil talking about, that's a cult, that's bad. Well, he's almost indoctrinated a cult. Shout out to some Rice yet again. I don't know why I'm shouting him out so much, but he did an entire stream talking about is DSP qualified like a cult, and the results might shock you a little.
That's what he's doing. It's the cult of Druckmann at this point. Okay. So the hilarious part about this was announced yesterday. It's canceled. No one's up in a tizzy about this. That Last of Us Factions is canceled, or Last of Us Online is canceled, and say, oh well, at least as long as they're making another better game. Wait, what? You're owed this game. You bought it. You paid money to Naughty Dog to have this already, and you don't have it now. And now they've canceled it outright, and you're just okay with it because you want to spend more money on the next game. Are you a fucking idiot?
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
How dumb can you be? Hey, I got one for you. If you mail Neil Druckmann $20 right now in an envelope, he'll come to your house and deliver a fucking sandwich to you in person. Oops, he canceled that offer, but thanks for the $20. You just buy our new game afterwards, right? But what are you talking about? How do you foolishly believe this nonsense and give him a pass over and over and over and over? I don't get it. I just don't understand as consumers how you could think that this guy is on the level on anything, and why you would continuously support his effort to do anything. This guy is a charlatan. He's a fucking con man. And he's been fooling millions of people all over the world with this shit, and he's continuing to do it. So now we're just supposed to be okay with no online game ever. Why did the online game get canceled? Because Games as a Service flopped. That's the only reason. This should have been a standalone expansion to Last of Us 2 for free as promised. Druckmann was the one who made the decision in his own studio to make its own game. He was the one who wanted to make money and milk his player base. Not us. We just wanted the mode we were promised and paid for. He ripped us off, and then he canceled the game when he couldn't see dollar signs coming out of it. Fuck you, Neil Druckmann, you greedy fuck. You're a scumbag. The way you're acting, you are a fucking scumbag. You have ripped everyone off. And you're not going to hear a lot of people complaining because you indoctrinated them into your fucking group of brainwashed people who think everything you do is above reproach. It's nonsense. This guy's crazy how he's behaving, and everyone just fucking lets it go. Oh well.
Ironic.
Do I even have to point it out? DSP calling someone else greedy while he begs for, every little, scrap of money he makes. Dude. Holy shit. Listen. I understand. He's got to keep the lights on. He's got to keep his wife fed. He's got to keep the cat fed. Sounds awfully familiar. Sounds like Neil Druckmann and Sony have to keep the lights on too. So maybe a free-to-play live service game is not a bad idea, because that's recurring revenue. But okay, let's just remember, when DSP needs money, that's just, he's working hard. He's just, a hard-working man. He puts in a 9 to 5. But someone who's developing a video game and wants to keep a job and working a 9 to 5, well, they're just being a greedy son of a bitch. They're just asking for too much. I'm just pointing it out.
No, he owes you an online game. 100%. If he's canceling The Last of Us Online, he has to go back and provide The Last of Us factions as promised. It's one or the other. You can't just say, I canceled the whole thing so we can make more things for you to buy. You're fucking stupid if you think that's okay. It's not okay. Anyway, that's my take. You disagree? And go ahead and disagree as much as you want, but I'm sorry, I call it like it is. How is it that everyone just forgets this shit? There's no, oh, I forgot that was even supposed to be. Why did you forget? You wrote it, right? Exactly. Bookworm says he doesn't care. He's got a TV show now too. You're absolutely right. He's got his TV show that just got voted best TV adaptation of a game, which wasn't. The TV show dramatically changed critical elements of the game. It had episodes that had nothing to do with the plot of the game that were only in there for progressive purposes, which again, I liked those episodes. That episode, that shows, I forgot his name. The character who was just a supporting character in Last of Us 1 gets his own episode where it shows how he fell in love with another man and they had a romantic relationship in the apocalypse. There was nothing wrong with that episode. It was well written, well directed, and I actually really enjoyed it, but it has nothing to do with The Last of Us 1. It was just shoved in there to try to get these votes from progressives to say that his show is the best show of the year. Right? I said it as much when I reviewed the show earlier this year. That could have been its own standalone spin-off or movie. It didn't have to be in the show, but instead he drops critical plot points and elements, and there's barely any zombies in the fucking show, cordyceps creatures, because he has to waste time on that shit. That's the best game adaptation of the year, the one that skips half the great parts of the game. That's the best game adaptation of the year. No, the journalists voted for it because, again, it's the cult of Drunkmen. They all just believe this shit. They're out of their minds. They think that this is the best content because it's progressive. Politics should not dictate quality of a game or quality of a show or quality of anything. I don't care what your fucking politics are. Anyone of any political stature should be able to play a game and enjoy it. That's the point. Is that supposed to unplug you from real life and put you into a fantasy situation where those politics or religion or real life occurrences outside don't affect the game so you can enjoy a fantasy setting, and that's the key elements of a good entertaining game. Unplugging from reality. Not, oh, you took your realistic politics and superimposed them into my gameplay experience and now it's game of the year because of that. You're out of your fucking mind. I've had enough of this shit.
And that is the video. Here are my overall thoughts on this. This was pain to get through. It was. And as far as that last bit, I'm not going to go on this whole progressive rant that every time no joke, every time I record this, I go on this whole progressive rant. I'm just not going to. Believe what you want to believe, but at the same fucking time, just don't be a dick about it, okay? If you don't like Neil Druckmann, if you don't like The Last of Us, you don't have to go on this whole tangent like DSP did. You could just say, hey, I don't like it. That's it. Put your hands up and just, do that. But I don't know, man. This whole video felt like it was nothing. This whole process of making this video was hard to get through. It was draining. At first, you guys can tell, I was coming off energy. And now, I have almost no energy. I almost feel like I need to go take a nap. Because that's what DSP does to me. He drains me. He drains the life out of me. It's like Harmon Smith, listen, I want to make this clear. Harmon Smith is fun to make fun of. I can make fun of him all day. But DSP is just so draining to get through. It's hard. If you guys want to make, content like this, man, I say go for it. But at the same fucking time, know what you're getting yourself into. I don't think people really, understand, sitting here for almost 2 hours trying to edit this video down and put all the clips and that information in. It takes time. And man, I'm telling you, sometimes I don't think it's worth the squeeze. I don't think the orange is worth the squeeze here. Because what's the most I'm going to say? I obviously disagree with DSP. I obviously think DSP, is a bit of a scumbag, especially in the irony department. Because guess what? He sits there bitching about Neil Druckmann trying to fucking rip people off while he ripped people off. Do I have to mention Project 7 and the, so-called reboot he was going to do? But no, he later lied about it, saying that was for a trailer. Sounds awfully familiar. Just gonna point it out here. So, until next time, guys, this is That PlayStation Gamer signing out. If you like The Last of Us Part 2, you like The Last of Us Part 2. If you hate it, you hate it. If you hate Neil Druckmann, you hate it. Cool, great, whatever. We all agree that, hey, maybe there's parts in that game that weren't great. Maybe Neil Druckmann is not the most holy human being on earth. But can we all agree, though, that the best fucking sandwich ever is a sandwich with bread and meat and cheese? So until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that YouTube algorithm BS. I'm going to go take a nap because that's what DSP did to me. He's a very good sleep aid. Peace.